Welcome, everyone, to another beautiful Friday. You know what that means? It's time for Trojan Call-In Conquest live show. Sorry, Conquest Call-In show, where you guys are the actual stars. We have some ideas tonight. We're going to talk some Reggie Bush, some NIL collective, talk some Big Ten football, as well as a big recruiting weekend leading into the traditional signing day next week. But remember, we may not be the last, but we are definitely the first to bring you guys the only USC-driven call-in show where you guys are in charge here on YouTube. So we actually have our first call coming right off the bat. Matt, let's just go. Let's get the ball running, right? So caller, thank you for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller, you there? No, we lost them. Well, Matt, with that then.
Call back.
What are your thoughts? There's been a lot going on this week with NIL, people getting in trouble. Now we get the big news about the Big Ten and the SEC getting ready to have some conversations about what the future of the sport will be. What are your thoughts going into the show? There's so much to talk about. Actually, I take it back. Here's our caller calling back. 1 second. Thank you, caller, for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Leon Johnson from Orlando, Florida. How you guys doing?
Leon, great. How you doing?
Hi, Leon.
Yeah, how you doing, Mark? Matt, Tim. I'd like a little rant for this evening, and I'm going to get you guys' take on it. I was listening to the episode that you guys were on with Mark about the whole Reggie Bush conversation. I see you smiling, Tim. And I was just a little taken back by his comment saying that he's neutral. He really doesn't give a damn. Justice was served and all that kind of stuff. And it's a deal. Reggie Bush earned that Heisman Trophy on the field. And instead of sticking to the topic, he started kind of jumping into, well, Terrell Pryor should have been given an opportunity to come back to Ohio State. And, the things that happened with Penn State were football related. It was football related. The defensive coordinator from the team used his position at Penn State to start a summer camp to abuse kids. That's football related. The head coach knew about it, did nothing. That's football related. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but Reggie Bush deserves to have his Heisman Trophy. Yes, there are other guys who have done things. We talked about, you guys talked about Cam Newton. He didn't have his Heisman from him. Johnny Manziel openly admitted that he lied about how he got his money, and the NCAA has done nothing to take that Heisman Trophy back. Give Reggie Bush his damn Heisman Trophy back now. That's what I got to talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you called in, and I was just kind of doing a little self promotion here. We on the channel here, I cut that out so you guys weren't to understand what Leon's talking about here. On Monday, that NIL and then Reggie Bush and the NCAA, all this came to a head. We had a little unscheduled conversation. Now, I will say people in the chat were a little bit harsh on Mark, saying, why would you have a topic you didn't know about? It was a complete unscheduled conversation, guys. A lot of stuff we do on here, we don't have it scripted. We're not like writing out what we're going to talk about. Mark did know a lot about the case, but you got to remember, we're SC fans. It's burned into our hearts. It's burned into our souls, really. So believe me, I could read back for you the whole damn report because I'm so pissed off about it. But other fans, from other parts of college football, they weren't really following this case. I mean, we hear, Leon, when you talk to people and they start talking about, well, they gave Reggie Bush's family houses and cars, and they've got no idea. Most of them, Mark does, but most of them don't even know where to begin with the conversation. So that's one thing. As far as the Penn State thing, you hit all on the head. I do tend to agree with you. That has as much to do with what happened on the field as what the Reggie Bush situation is. Because Reggie he's very clear. I like a delivery in his message he's staying on point with. He's all, right? What that Heisman Trophy was earned on the field. And he did. He didn't get faster. Like I said, I don't know if you caught this part, Leon, but I said Didn't make him faster, didn't make him stronger, didn't make him quicker, you know, to get a little bit of money to fix up his Impala. Again, all this is by the way, none of this was proven. Nothing here was ever proven. It was a word of a felon. And I'm not doing ad hominem here, but he's not, you know, we're acting in good faith. I don't know what was happening in the whole situation. I wasn't there with the whole thing, but I do know this. The NCAA made up rules. They changed their protocols. There were clear emails and stuff sent back and forth because Judge Schaller, who was doing the case for Todd McNair, said there was actual malice or malicious. I can't remember exact words on it. Shown by the NCAA that there were material facts were messed up in the case as he was reading through it, and it was just a really bad investigation. It was clearly set so SC was guilty from the beginning. You know, they sat there combing through USC for years, trying to. They had to grab like a European tennis player and then rope in the OJ Mayo thing, and then say somehow USC should have known, Todd McNair or USC should have known that something's going on 120 miles away in San Diego. Everyone at USC is pissed off,
and I agree.
Yeah,
and I agree with you, Tim. The people who were making the decisions, their only thing was to take SC down. And that's the only way to take us down, was to make up some story and penalize us for it. It's not just Reggie Bush's Heisman. It's the 30 scholarships that were taken away from the team. It was the vacated wins, all of that. We need all that back.
Yeah, but the one thing also, I was talking to John Jackson about this at the basketball game last night, because we were talking about, and when he says, you know what, where the NCAA really, I mean, wins are nice, records and trophies are nice, but the real travesty, the NCAA is set up for collegiate athletes. And what they did to get USC was deprive 30 young men of being USC graduates, really, is what they did. Because they pulled 30 scholarships from USC. I mean, look what happened just recently. I mean, forget the Miami thing, right? With Nevin Shapiro, right? Forget that happened. Forget what just happened at Tennessee. What did they get? Like probation and a slap on the wrist, Tennessee? And they're handing out bags to recruits to come, or you know, well, it's just also players as well. And they get like probation, and they pull 10 scholarships a year for 3 years against USC and 2-year bowl ban. I mean, forget the investigation. This, even if they got the facts right about the case, the sanctions didn't remotely match what they've done with other cases. Matt, I know you want to get on this. What are your thoughts?
There's not a whole lot to add. I would just remind folks that, you know, Paul D of Miami, you know, who brought the hammer down on USC, his Miami administration was immersed in scandal. Like the enforcer was himself, you know, mired in violations and wrongdoing, you know. So like that shows you what kind of a kangaroo court it was. That's my main addition. Like, but Tim, like, you've laid it out and you've studied this more closely than I have. I think the only other thing to say is that, you know, retroactive punishment, you know, stripping people of titles, you know, come on, like that is just such a sophomoric thing to do. You know, if you think somebody did something wrong, you know, you do something that affects the future, but also that person. Like, as you mentioned with the 30 scholarships, you know, those are innocent people. You know, like, you got to find a way to, if you're going to bother to punish someone, punish someone in a way that like everyone can respect. Like require that Reggie Bush perform like 100 hours of community service. I mean, that might have the underlying implication that he did something really wrong, but like, hey, like that would be him contributing to something. But stripping scholarships and stripping a Heisman trophy, that, like, you can't take away that on Heisman night 2005, he won the trophy. Like, so the stripping of the Heisman trophy, that accomplishes what? What does that accomplish? It doesn't accomplish a single thing. So I mean, you've said most of it, but I just hate retroactive punishment, you know, stripping, and also Paul D was just a flaming hypocrite.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, one more thing, and I'm going to get off so I can give other people an opportunity tonight. But the last thing that it was said on that show earlier this week was on Monday, was we need to honor the rules that were in place. That really touched the nerve with me, because we all know that there's been constitutional, there's stuff in the Constitution that it was put in when the Constitution was created. And we know further on down the line that it was wrong to be in that Constitution. And we've made amendments to remove that kind of stuff. So in this country, we've learned to take away the bad stuff when we figure out it's bad. Those rules were bad. Let's get back. Let's get on point and do what's right. That's all I got to say for tonight, gentlemen. Fight on.
Yeah, fight on. Well, okay. So so just to be clear, it's not delineated in the Constitution or any amendments, but it was a ruling by the Supreme Court that is basically saying, I guess it's your right to a life, liberty. I don't know, but you have an economic right in this country in order to make a living and not be infringed upon by people making these rules saying what you can and cannot do to earn money. I'm guessing that's the ruling that the Supreme Court, right? They decide what is and what is not based on, because it's a living document. And so my point when I said that was simply that, it was stricken down by the Supreme Court, the top court in our country, saying that it's illegal. And my big thing is in all this, when people say, well, it was a rule back then, they broke the rule. Again, it was a rule that was set up that is illegal now. And if it's illegal now, then it was illegal then. Therefore, you had a rule based on something that's unlawful. And quite frankly, then you can go back and say, hey, that was wrong. And I'll just leave it there.
I just have one other little thing to add. One other little thing to add quickly, and that is that people will say USC Reggie Bush broke the rules. I'm a big believer in there are bad rules, there are unjust rules, and certainly in light of what we've seen over the past 10 years with players finally being able to capitalize on their market value, things that were violations, breaking rules 20 years ago, predominantly are not now. Like now it's not breaking a rule. So if people are going to hang their hat on, well, they broke a rule, I'm a big believer in let's have good rules instead of bad ones.
Mm-hmm. And I also, sorry, we got to get out of the way, but also Reggie Bush is being the one that's punished for it, not his stepdad who started this mess. So again, allegedly, and I will stand by this as well, the entire investigation, I believe there was some smoke to it. I think there was something going on here, definitely, right? But how much of it was Reggie the initiator of? And now we're talking about a guy who was 19 years old. There's adults involved, much older than him, that that he trusts. There's a lot to this. So you want to punish someone, fine, punish someone. But to do it now, again, like Matt said, retroactively, take away scholarships of people that wanted to play football, go back and say, oh, that didn't happen. Believe me, anybody that was in the Orange Bowl, right, for that in January 2005, and watched that ass-kicking USC put on that field, they didn't need Reggie Bush to do that. The defense is what really just crushed the soul of that Oklahoma team. To say that they didn't win that game and vacating of games is so stupid. If they were cheating, I don't know, like stealing signs and using that's flat out cheating. But to have a guy, mom and dad, getting a dishwasher and a washing machine, and living rent free somewhere in also, Matt, remember they said they got a mansion, $300,000 house. You know what $300,000 buys you in San Diego, even back then. So just the story of everything, and then Reggie being blamed like he's some bad person. I've always thought that why weren't these kids getting paid from day one? We're going to look back on this 10 years ago and say how barbaric you remember back in the NCAA was making billions of dollars, and these families, these kids weren't profiting a penny from it. We're going to look back, again, history's usually not nice to situations like we're looking at right now. And these kids always should have profited from, why weren't they? Why were coaches making millions and these kids and families making nothing, period? All right, I'm done. Oh, before I'm done, and Matt, you'll like this because I updated it. Give the man his damn trophy back. Okay, I've updated. I have the thing in the way. So give the man back his trophy. It's been 4,855 days since you jerks at the NCAA stole this man's trophy. It's time to give it back to him. And all you guys at the Heisman Trust, I mean, stop the hypocrisy of these little, well, we got to wait for the NCAA to reinstate its record. So, because we have a rule on, fine. That if you have a rule, just like the NCAA had a bad rule, you have a bad rule. Get rid of your stupid rule and stop looking stupid. Get on the right side of history. And please give this man back his trophy. Anyway, Leon, thank you so much for calling. Appreciate you so much, man.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Right on.
Right on.
And a big thank you to Gary from Dana Point. That's right there, Jane Cox. That's actually Gary from Dana Point with the great $20 donation. So thank you, Gary.
As always, thanks, Gary. All right, next caller. Thank you for calling in. You're on with Matt and Tim. What's on your mind tonight? Oh, sorry. First off, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Augie Garcia again from Oxnard, California.
Augie. Well done. How you doing?
Yes. I'm doing excellent. Last week, I was welcomed to the program. It was my baptismal, and I really wanted a comment on the Ohana factor, the Trojan family strong. And I am connected 6 degrees of separation. The gentleman that recruited Marquise Gallegos, we're a large family. The Gallegos name, California, Oklahoma, and Texas. I met him at one of the games earlier in the year, and I had acknowledged that with him. And I said, hey, I'm looking forward to your growth, your maturity, and, with the program. And him being Latino, Mexican-American, Chicano, I go back to Anthony Munoz. I guess it was the Rose Bowl when they asked him where he was from, and he goes, Tijuana. That was kind of comical. But Oxnard has generated some talent. Met with Terry Colbert and Clint Strozier from the past. And definitely the 805 has produced some products, the Cunningham family, Sam Bam.
Oh.
And just looking forward to all this young talent developing. I know it's going to be awesome. And I touched base with Shane Foley, former QB Trojan family, and his dad was a coach at a rival school that I played against, Wilson High. And I'm pulling for KC because of Coach Andy Reid is the LA product, Marshall High School. And we gave him a few education back in the days, the Kusha era, when we were Showtime and we were moving air attack. And I believe that USC, we're rebounding and we're back. And Reggie definitely deserves his trophy back, and fight on, Trojans.
Yeah, fight on. Yeah. So Gallegos is going to join Williams, Marcellus Williams. I've been going on and on about our young offensive linemen, and I'm still hyped about that. But I'm really liking in this past class, the secondary pickups. I just think both of them are both physical. Both of them are ball hawks. They break on the ball. I think that sky's the limit with both of them. And I think that this staff has been doing a good job of just finding these guys, the previous staff, but whatever. But I mean, of finding these guys. I'm not going to call them diamonds in a rough, because I mean, how my stance is on the recruiting and 5-star and 4-star and all that stuff. I could not be more happy. Just look at who wanted these guys to come to their programs, and USC is signing them. And that's really all you need to know. And I'm with you. I think that Gallegos is going to be just an absolute ball hawk for USC. He was in high school, just puts his foot in the ground, breaks on the ball. I'm excited to see what he could do at Cardinal Gold. Yeah.
Yes, by all means. And the coach, the defensive coach, line coach, I have a connection to San Antonio, Texas, and also Oklahoma when I was stationed there, and they produced a lot of talent out of Jinx. But I just feel USC's on the right track, and we're the ships have set sail, and we're on a mission.
I'm with you, Augie. Thanks again for calling in. Appreciate you so much. Make sure you call in again.
Awesome, and fight on, Trojans.
Fight on. Yeah. You're going to hear a mouthful of me for a long time until these guys, I mean, obviously as freshmen, they're probably not going to make that big of an impact, but you're going to be hearing me, Matt. I'm going to do it. And I'm telling you, I'll be able to take that victory lap. I guarantee it, in a couple of years when these guys are starting and are all Big Ten players.
The Talk on Fridays.
Hello. Thank you for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, fellas, this is Manjeet. My usual call. I was sorry I wasn't the first caller, but I got to make the obligatory call on Friday.
Oh, that's fine, Manjeet. And you're from? You're in California, but where? Rosemead? No,
Imperial.
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, it's my birthday, but the only wish I have, brother, is USC to get on one of those rolls like Pete Carroll days. I still remember that. We need to start rolling up Notre Dame's, UCLA's, Oregon. I didn't even consider them competition back then. But they're starting to irritate me now. So that's my birthday wish: is we just kick ass, start rolling everybody up like we used to during Pete Carroll days.
Well, happy birthday for one thing. Secondly, Oregon really didn't kind of get into the mix until 2007, with Dennis Dixon. But yeah, before then, Oregon really wasn't part of the picture.
Yeah, I got you. But they're getting annoying with the Dan Lanning and the fan base, man. That's just annoying. They're not even on our level, but they're acting like they're like the toughest dude, like dude on the block. If our NLA gets it together and Riley gets the players that we need, we're gonna roll them up. That's my wish. UCLA, Notre Dame, and Oregon. I can't stand losing to those idiots.
Well, a parent who's usually in our chat basically made it clear. He said, "You're right. By the way, they do what they have going up at Oregon. They're pushing I'm sure they're pushing the limits of NIL, but they're doing it smart. They're not pulling at Tennessee and just being absolutely idiots about it. But it's not just money up in Oregon. I mean, you listen. I am far from a Duck fan. I mean, I hate the Ducks, right? I just do. I hate to say it, I just do. And part of it is some of their fan base, not all their fan bases, some of their fan base is downright annoying, because I do stand by the fact you guys just haven't really won anything yet. Beating USC, whenever I said before, when you talk to a Duck fan, they talk about what their record is against USC. When USC talk about USC fan, we're going to talk about who we are. We start talking about national championships. We talk about Heisman trophies, Rose Bowl championships, right? That's who we talk about. But you can't sit back and say that they're not on our level, because currently they're above us. Matter of fact, on this coming season, what they've done on the field, because it's about what you have on your roster and on the field. They've kicked our ass in recruiting. They have. This year, especially the offseason, they have. However, they've done it. And believe me, I don't like the Ducks, but you have to acknowledge what they're doing. And quite frankly, it's going to be Ohio State and Oregon, I think, next year. They're going to be the ones favored, guarantee you preseason. They're going to be the ones that are playing very well. Now, Oregon has to play, I believe, all three. Do they play Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan? I know they play Ohio State and Michigan.
No. They don't play all three. No.
Yeah, they missed one of them. But I think they play Ohio State and Michigan next year. But my point is that they have the best. They had the best roster. They had the best roster the last couple of years. USC has lost its way with Helton, and they just kind of with all that Nike Phil money, they have been dropping that bag late in the game and getting the guys. And by the way, it's legal now, so we can be mad about it, or SC can do something about it. And I think they are. I think they're going to go the route of, look, we are going to pay the guys that are proven. We're going to get guys through NIL. If you guys watched the top all last week about the fact that Jen Cohen's talking about how that they're getting together, they got alignment to NIL, they're getting a lot more information from the NCAA, and they're going to be a little more. They're going to change it up. They're going to be a little more competitive. We're going to be okay. The question is, there's this transition period, Matt, where I just don't know if USC is kind of feeling itself out, where we are. I know we are not the most aggressive. I know that we're not getting a lot of these big linemen that everyone else are getting, because we just aren't putting the money out there. And I think that's where I think the investment needs to go, is into the offensive line.
I got you, brother. What I'm saying is, I mean, you go ahead.
Matt?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's turn the focus to player acquisition. Earlier today, Friday, we had Ratumana Bulabalavu, 4-star 2024 edge rusher, decommitted from the Washington Huskies. Hey, let's pick him off. Let's bring a 4-star edge rusher into the fold, and let's get cooking, and let's give Danton Lynn some better groceries. So that should be front and center for USC fans right now. With people taking official visits, to USC this weekend, and like lots of other schools are doing that because it's that time of year. Hopefully USC is going to make a splash in the next few days, and that will set things on course, and that's going to give you a happy birthday, Manjeet, and it's going to lower blood pressure levels around here.
Yeah. So that we're talking, what was his name again? I butcher that name all the time.
Ratumana Bulabalavu.
Bulabalavu. So he is a 2024 guy. That USC guys on Tuesday is the regular traditional signing day, and he's one of two guys that USC is looking to sign for Tuesday. It's not done, but he is on an official visit. I think we had that last official visit, I think, right? And isn't signing day on Tuesday? I'm pretty dang sure it is. So there's not going to be a lot of time for him to go anywhere else. And then the other guy is the linebacker Jaden Walker, who has a lot of. I mean, he's not the highest rated guy, but he's got a lot of offers. And it's a position of need for USC. So pulling in a quality linebacker and a quality interior defensive lineman right at the bell is exactly what this program needs. And then going into where the big match is going to happen, and I think it's going to be a lot of fireworks, is during the spring transfer portal. Maybe some of these other schools spent all their money, right? It's like when you go to Vegas and you have that one idiot friend just loses all of his money the first night, right? And he's going to the credit card and whatever. And then you have the people that kind of just slow and enjoy play. I'm wondering if, some of these programs have spent all their money. I doubt it. Some of them have endless cash. But I do think USC has their eyes set on some guys. They're going to go at them. And I'm really interested to see what our roster actually ends up for this class. Manjeet, anything else for us?
All right, fellas. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Comment. I mean, SC has money. All right, guys. I love you guys. Take care.
All right. Take care. So I know I said I was gonna do better about.
All right, brother. I mean, that's all I got. I just hope SC has money though. You just gotta spend it, man. We gotta play the game. Level the playing field. That's all I got.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Manjeet. Right on. Yeah, I think that USC is not offering upfront money. I think some of these bigger names they want upfront money. I just do. And technically, you guys, that's illegal. And USC just doesn't seem like they want to play that game. They don't want to go the route of, fine, we'll sue you in court. They're actually doing NIL like it was meant to be done. So that's up in the air. Well, Matt, we're out of calls. This might be a quick night. Listen, we talked about it. I've been on for 2 hours already. So I wouldn't cry. We're about 40 minutes into the show. Calls are kind of dropping off tonight. I used all my energy up just talking about Reggie Bush. I get too fired up whenever I hear that because it pisses me off so much.
Well,
but
you're a busy man. You're doing your day job. You covered USC Oregon at Galen Center for Trojans Wire last night. Do the Big Ten show with Mark. I mean, what are you not doing? I think the only thing you're not doing is serving as like papal nuncio to the Middle East and handling peace talks. Like that's like the only thing you're not doing right now.
Let's talk a little bit about basketball. Why not? I mean, we've got a few minutes. No one apparently wants to talk football. It's our show.
Also baseball. Like Austin Overn being named to a preseason all Pac-12 team, I believe. And so you're going to be covering USC baseball for us. So that's,
he was listed on
just around the corner.
And he was listed, I believe, on a national list of the third team.
On national as well.
All-American.
Yeah.
And for those you guys don't know, Austin Overn, center fielder for USC, set the all-time record for triples. I mean, the kid's got a great bat. He could fly out in the outfield. I mean, just the guy's got just insane range. We watched him play all these highlight plays last year. So, and I found out that they're going to be playing at LMU, Loyola Marymount University, their baseball games. So, you guys Trojans get out there, support SC. I forgot. Is it the 17th? I told you guys last week. I'm not sure exactly the first game. Come on out there. Meet me out there. We'll have a hot dog together, talk about the game. USC baseball starting pretty soon. Basketball, Oregon State on Saturday, I believe at 4:00. I got to double check that.
Yep.
Eddie Enfield was really upset at the press conference after the game, talking about he's got 4 big men that just don't defensive rebound very well. Geez, the team that's out there is really you can tell he wants to pull his hair out because USC, they're doing a great job on defense and holding teams to under 40% shooting, but they're just giving up too many offensive boards. You saw that in the desert. You saw it again last night. Oh, look, they're done. See, Matt, remind me. Start talking basketball and we'll get some calls. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on with Matt and Tim. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, boys. It's Russ from San Diego.
Russ, how you doing?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Good. Exhausted, but glad to be here talking to you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, I saw there was a lull in the action, and I thought I would just call in as sort of an addendum to Leon's call earlier to kind of help him. Not that he needs my help, but, just further articulate the argument he was making. So there's something in this country called the Equal Protection Clause. That's part of the 14th Amendment, and that was passed as part of the Reconstruction effort in this country after the Civil War. And, basically what that says is that, like, the law shall be applied equally in similar circumstances. I don't want to get too, like, nerdy here on constitutional law or whatever, but I think we can all look at the Reggie Bush scenario here and see just how, like, very sort of un-American this whole thing was. Everybody knew, it's one of those things where every school had players that were getting kickbacks. Everybody knew it. It's just a matter of, like, who got caught, who the NCAA had to have an axe to grind with that day. So, when Mark, I remember last week, and I like Mark, without Mark, this show wouldn't exist. All the other shows wouldn't exist. So I'm not trying to pile in Mark or anything like that. But, when he made a comment about, like, well, I don't just want this to be a thing about, like, if one guy gets a speeding ticket, even though everyone else is speeding, like, sort of thing. It's like, well, Mark, that's in the, most states have a law that if you're going to flow of traffic, you can't get a speeding ticket because everyone else is also, speeding. That stuff like that has its roots from the 14th Amendment, from the Equal Protection Clause. So, I don't think anyone with a straight face can look at Reggie Bush being stripped of his Heisman as that the rule. Whether you think the rules were good or the rules were bad, and I think everyone on this call thinks the rules were bad, but even a bad law has to be applied evenly to everybody. It clearly was not. I mean, Johnny Manziel basically bragged about it, 5 years later? 6 years later? I mean, this was the calls for how unfair it was for student athletes, to not get a piece of the pie. It wasn't like that started 2 years ago. Reggie won the Heisman in 2005. I mean, there was talks of that 5 years later, like 2010, 2011. So this has been, again, just to kind of put an exclamation point on Leon's call earlier. This, I think, again, we can all agree that, like, the law, the rule was not applied evenly. USC got the screws put to them because we were beating everybody. And, so, I'm going to hop off in case anyone else wants to get on before you guys head out. So fight on, boys. And I'm curious what you guys have to say.
Thank you for articulating what I was trying to work out in my head. Yes. So I knew that there were that obviously that the ruling that they came down with the Supreme Court, they had to have basis for it. They had a precedent for it. And thank you for clarifying those things. What I will say, though, is they botched so here's what if you really want to, what I'm the most pissed off about is I don't think there was a fair investigation that happened. Now, I know they don't have, subpoena powers and the ability to get all the financials, et cetera, but literally because Reggie was in the NFL and he's like saying, we have laws to get that too. Self-incrimination. So I'm not going to speak if I don't have to. I'm not going to talk to anybody. Because he did that, because Mike Garrett said, we don't really have, we've done nothing wrong, et cetera, didn't come forth and admit guilt like they want him to, turn himself in or whatever USC was supposed to do. When in reality, Mike Garrett was just basically saying, we haven't done anything. We're not going to say we did something that we didn't do. And because the NCAA screwed up that investigation so bad, no one's ever really going to know exactly what happened. Again, I think most educated people realize that the Bush family did receive some money. And for reasons I gave before, You're talking about a stepfather getting involved with some unscrupulous people that Reggie probably got rolled into, and then this is all speculative. But the thing is, they didn't prove shit, and they just said, "Oh well, you know what? Well, you're not going to talk, so we're just going to make up. We don't know. We don't have receipts. We don't have any proof. So we're just going to take this guy's word for it and throw the book at you and the university, so we can get you guys out of the way because the Big Ten and SEC can't beat you. So I guess if you can't beat them, sanction them, and that's exactly what the NCAA did." You want to hit this one up, Matt?
Nothing to add.
I meant the Willie. Thank you so much for super chat. Give Reggie his Heisman back. It's a black mark of the NCAA for this scandal. Absolutely, it's asinine and flat out ridiculous. He does not have his Heisman. Fight on. Again, Willie, thank you for super chat. Thank you for being a great supporter of the show. Always here, and I'm saying it. I'm just telling them they need to. Charlie Baker needs to get out in front of this thing and stop looking stupid. I mean, let's face it. The NCAA is on its last legs, right? I mean, Matt, really, as far as enforcement, now that this Tennessee thing is going to be interesting. There's also other sports though that are involved, and we remember, you guys, the NCAA is not just some phantom entity. It's college presidents and this is for these universities. It's not some rogue third party or anything.
Yeah, this is what drives me crazy. The NCAA is comprised of its member schools. It's not as though you have the NCAA here on one side and you have the schools on the other side. No, the schools are the membership. And so, why haven't we seen a rebellion against the NCAA? I mean, I know that Florida State kind of, sort of, but that seems more like, the ACC TV deal with Disney, ESPN being awful, and Florida State wanting to get its hands on a lot more money and get out of the ACC. That's not really an NCAA gripe, but really, what I will admit to being surprised that we haven't seen a genuine internal rebellion among a block of schools against the NCAA, saying we need to tear it all down. This model's not working. School presidents could do something if they wanted to, but we haven't seen them have the political will yet. I'm waiting for the day when that happens, because that would be a very good day for college sports. Yeah.
Just blow the thing up, restructure it with make it modern, and I mean, I don't know why for years the enforcement, the investigations, they just all seem to get botched, and then the more and more the teams, and schools like Miami, like Florida, like Penn State, and they just say, once they start talking about litigation, the NCAA knew they really weren't going to win anything in court, so they would have to back off. I just wish maybe USC would have been somewhere down the line, so we would have seen the people that fought their way out of it. To this day, I'll never understand why USC just decided, well, we're just going to win the right way, and didn't fight and just and took those sanctions that were absolutely asinine.
Mike Garrett did not do a great job. I think everyone at USC can agree on that.
Yeah.
I would also say, Tim, for everyone who's watching here, and thank you for watching at the Voice of College Football, it's also long past time to separate football from all the other sports, right? Because football should not be part of a Title IX calculation. It shouldn't be part of a Title IX numbers game. That football exists on its own island in so many different ways. When are we going to just separate football from the rest of college sports, just in terms of the regulatory structure, various guidelines, etc.? So many things that are just such obvious slam dunk things, and they haven't occurred yet. And it's 2024, and it's legitimate to wonder when these things are ever going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm going to try to look really quickly through the chats. Thank you again, Gary from Dana Point, for the super chat. And then Willie, of course, as always, thank you for your super chat. You guys, this is your show, and Matt and I, we have stories to write and things to do, and the idea is a call-in show, so appreciate. Usually we have a bunch of calls, but it looks like, I'll just face it, there's really not much news out there right now. I'm sure after this weekend, there's probably going to be some commits happening. There'll be a little more traction.
Give
hopefully
us a splash. Give us a recruiting splash, please,
Right.
page view guys.
That will help. That would help both this channel as well as Trojans Wire. So I think that's probably likely we're to get some kind of traction either on signing day or over the weekend with these visitors. We kind of get some kind of traction and news. But for right now, it's a little bit slow. We appreciate everyone being here. If you guys have any show ideas, again, as always, you guys can send them to us. You can get me at Tim_Prangley on Twitter or on Instagram. And then Matt, you can get Matt at Trojans Wire on Twitter. Oh, hold on. You guys got to start making these calls earlier. You wait till we're getting off and then you call us. Hold on a second. Hello, caller. Appreciate you calling. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Gary from Dana Point.
Gary, I'm glad you made it.
I wanted to respond. Well, I've been here, but I was just wanted to bounce off a little bit about what you said in terms of, the NCAA is actually the collective of all of the college schools. Why is there a rebellion? Well, one, if the plague is in another country, you don't worry about it too much. But if it gets near your neighborhood, oh my gosh, suddenly it's a crisis that we have to face. Additionally, when you have this large group, it's hard to find the first one to stand up in the crowd, to find the first one that protests, and put something at risk. I just don't think these other schools have anything at risk because they're not in the level that USC has been on. They're not being impacted. They haven't had a Heisman Trophy taken away. They haven't had wins vacated. And so you're asking for these people to unite in a cause that's theirs. And I think that the NCAA will probably go the way of the dinosaur eventually, but it will be for other reasons. Meanwhile, I think we're stuck with these jokers, and their concept of justice is quite warped and provincial and probably prejudiced by certain things. So I think we're stuck with these guys, and there's nothing we can do about it. But I think SC's doing the right thing, but the NIL, we're being very careful. We're being very cautious. We're not going to throw red meat in front of these guys again, because I think they'll take it and run with it. So anyway, I don't have any hope and faith that NCAA will ever be anything good. I just hope that they go the way of the dinosaur. But anyway, I just wanted to cement my affirmation to your very articulate comments concerning this issue. I'm still over 1956 when SC and actually UCLA too got penalized, and my hero John Arnett wasn't allowed to play in only 5 games because of another trumped up thing. But anyway, I'll never get over that. I'll never get over the Reggie Bush thing, and I'll never get the Texas loss. Anyway, love you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Gary.
you.
It just wouldn't be a show
Thanks,
if Gary
Gary.
didn't call in. Gary nailed it as always. Completely nailed it. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I'm not really can't add anything to that. It's USC just seems like I'm not totally clear on it. I know that Marv Goo was mixed up in, which apparently at the time was a big thing. So back in the day, the guys still get passes for family members, whatever. And that what they could do is there was this scandal where the students were the players were selling their tickets, and the USC got put on probation. They got a 1-year TV ban, and I'm not sure if USC was forced to or they just did. Kind of this is Marv Goo, the greatest Trojan of them all, really was kind of put on was the scapegoat, I guess, in this whole thing. When in reality, this wasn't something that just USC had invented and only USC was doing. For some reason, though, was USC good in the 70s and in early 80s? But for some reason, we got to shut these guys up on the East Coast and shut them down. Fast forward about, 20 odd years, you got this guy named Pete Carroll that's kicking the crap out of the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC. The only one that could get to him with Kansas State and Texas, was the Big 12. But USC got their licks in on the Big 12 as well. But the thing that really started pissing them off is USC was going in, they were getting all the local kids, and then they go into Florida. Oh, Mike Williams, we'll take you. And they go up to New Jersey. Oh, Brian Cushing, we'll take you. And there's going in and taking players from Texas and Florida and New Jersey and all across the country. And they decided we are going to take these guys down. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll figure out a way. And they sure as hell did. And unfortunately, again, to this day, I still hear people that get the case completely wrong. I mean, people really knew what USC football was actually, quote unquote, guilty of. It's almost incredible because literally they couldn't prove it, stick to anything. And the one link they had was to Todd McNair, you guys. And Todd McNair said, screw you, SC, you're not going to fight? Well, screw you, SC. I'm going to fight, get my name back. He did, and he was rewarded in a cash settlement to kind of put the case away. So shame on you, NCAA. You're a bunch of scumbags, really. The people on that infractions committee, they knew exactly what they were doing. And it's a shame that it was allowed to happen. I know USC is not the only program that's been taken down this way. There's some sacred cows in this situation. But I'll be glad. Someone said, is the NCAA in charge of the, where was that? It was a super chat too, but is a Heisman Trophy awarded by the NCAA? No, it's by the Downtown Athletic Club of New York. I think is what started it. Used to be held there every year. The Heisman Trust was set up, and they're the ones that give out the trophy. The sticky point here is that they have a rule that if your records, meaning your yards or touchdowns or whatever you did for that year, are vacated, then you're not eligible for the award. So that's the sticky point they're hiding behind, because everyone's saying this is dumb. We'll give him back his trophy. They're saying, well, we can't until the NCAA gives him his records back, gives him his yardage back and everything. And that's what the sticky point is. So it's not the NCAA that gives out the award, but the Heisman Trust is hiding behind the NCAA to give Reggie back his trophy. And again, that would be you can see all the portraits on the walls when they show, next time you're looking at those portraits on the walls, how many of those portraits would be there if those guys never took $100 handshake? I'm going to leave it right there, because I bet you there would be a couple saints, because there's just those Boy Scouts or those people that are lucky enough that their family doesn't need the money, or that they're actually getting enough money. Remember, these guys are 200 to 300 to 320. And in the old days, there wasn't a year-round training table. So you have these gigantic, huge people that need to maintain their weight and stuff, but they're not getting money for food even. So these guys are scraping together money to eat. I mean, the whole system was broken, illegal, and you want to keep running to say, well, it was a rule back then. They broke the rules. The rule was dumb and illegal back then, and it should all be taken away. So that's my rant on the NCAA. I think we're done.
Okay, just a couple of news and notes. One, Gixxer Squid asked, Matt, what's the biggest Big Ten away game for USC? Now that we're in the new conference, it's that game at Michigan and Ann Arbor, and it's early in the season. That's going to add to the luster of the game, especially if USC is able to beat LSU. So that to me is like the Big Ten road trip USC fans are most excited about. So thanks, Gixxer, for that. And just want to say, not just thank you to this person for the contribution, but this person is a Ducks Wire columnist, Don Smalley. He's been a guest on the Trojans Wire podcast. So Don Smalley, hey, you didn't have to do this. You did. Thanks, Don, for the donation, and keep doing a great job over there at Ducks Wire.
Yeah, Don, I wish you had called in. We could have talked about it. I'm not sure what you meant by the lack of respect the Trojan players showed Andy Enfield. Not sure what you mean by that. I'll tell you what, Andy Enfield was very pissed off at the end of the game. That's for sure. Wondering, these guys that want to get on the court, they want to play. He's like, well, if you want to get on the court, you want to play. How about you do some rebounding? Because it's been an ongoing thing, and he truly called him out, and it was really cool because, of course, he named the big guys. He talked about Evan Mobley, right? And the guys we're all going to know. But then he also brought, and you could tell, the first name he brought was Chavez Goodwin. He said, this guy was tough, the toughest guy, talk about it on the boards. He doesn't see that. he just doesn't see that toughness and that just, that just grit to get up there and get boards. And, we were all excited about the guards, right? The marquee thing was Boogie was coming back, #1 recruit in the country, and Collier is going to be our, and hey, you know what? And the tournament's all about guard play. And I was getting all excited, but then you forgot you also got to rebound and play good. You got to protect the rim and play good defense. And they have been doing that. Matter of fact, last night was lost in all this mess as USC against the Ducks set a record with 14 blocks and did a pretty good job. Don, about controlling Dante. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. But they just, held the Ducks at under 40% shooting, but they just were not rebounding. And there's some things about basketball, and rebounding is an important part of it. So
we're going to get Tim and Don together on Q&As and podcasts, because that's going to be part of our collaboration with Ducks Wire heading into the Big Ten.
And I just talked about basketball for 2 minutes and nobody called in. So I think we are officially done, you guys. But before you go, if you're not already a member, if you're not already a subscriber to the channel, you guys really appreciate it if you just take a minute and join us here at the channel. We're always trying our best to bring the best the best content for you. We know a lot of you guys are out there is spending. We're very grateful that you spend your Friday evenings with us, but it just shows that more than half of you guys that watch this show, thousands of people watch this show, but only half of you guys are actually subscribed to the channel. And if all of you guys were subscribed, we would be well over that 5,000. We just kind of hit a plateau. So appreciate if you're out there. If you want to go ahead and give us, if you enjoyed the show and you want to see more shows like this, please go ahead and give us a follow. All right, Matt. Well, we've done another week. I'm really excited. Again, like we talked about, you guys will have a lot next Friday. This was a slow week for us news-wise. I'm more than interested again. You see Matt right there at Trojans Wire, and here I am, at Tim Prangley. You leave me a message. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know if there's things you want to see. It's gonna be a fairly long off season, but pretty soon we're coming up on spring ball, so that'll be a lot of news for that. We could talk about roster. We could talk about depth chart. We could talk about the new coaches. I'm hoping to get out there to bring as much as I can from the practices, as much as they let us see to the show. But make sure that you guys are hitting us up on Twitter or on Instagram and letting us know, what you want to see, what you don't like about the show, what you do like about the show. We're all ears. This show is your show. It's not the last, but it's definitely the first where you guys are the stars here on YouTube. Talk about USC football, USC athletics. We'll branch it out to baseball and basketball if you want. Matt, any final thoughts?
No, stick a fork in us. We're done.
We are done. Good. I'm going to go take a well-deserved break. You guys make sure you go check out my Reggie video if you haven't got enough from it so far. Go check it out. It's right now in the channel. Also, I have an article. The links for Matt and I for our articles on Trojans Wire are in the description. I talked about Reggie. We talked about the basketball game we just talked about as well. We have a new article out on that. Love all you guys. Again, you have lots of options on Friday night. Appreciate every one of you being here. We'll see you guys on Monday when Mark, Matt, and I, again, hopefully we'll be talking about some commitments we got over the weekend. Some great players coming to USC. Until then, you guys, it's Matt is going to be writing. I'm going to be writing. We'll see everybody Monday. Take care, everyone.